Artificial intelligence has reshaped industries at an extraordinary pace, automating processes, analyzing vast amount of data, and even generating creative content. From composing symphonies to designing advertising campaigns, AI is encroaching upon spaces long considered bastions of human ingenuity. But can AI truly replicate the depths of human creativity, or is it merely an advanced tool designed to enhance human potential? This question took center stage at Storyboard18's Global Pioneer Summit 2025, where leading industry figures debated the role of AI in the future of marketing. Daniel, who is an AI expert and also the Chief AI Officer of WPP, let me begin this conversation by asking you a very simple question. We speak about how AI has had its impact on different sectors, on our lives. Like, I can't imagine my life without AI, without, asking, hey Siri, how far is my Uber? Or how far is my order? Or, simple things like, friend suggestions on Facebook or Instagram or so on and so forth, the reels that you get. So it has impacted all of our lives. But what is the kind of impact that you have seen AI have on your organization, on WPP over the past many years?
Okay, thank you. Simple questions usually require complex answers. I guess my job in WPP is to use AI to optimize the end-to-end marketing supply chain, to essentially solve marketing using AI. You put money in and hopefully more money comes out at the other side. I guess in a world now where it takes seconds to create ads, to be able to test ads against synthetic audiences, to use machine learning to predict activation and then to optimize content across channels, and in a world where that is optimized, I would argue really the only differentiator is human creativity. And I think we've talked about that a lot already. The challenge is for agencies is who gets there first, who creates that end-to-end solution, and then adds additional services on top of that for creativity. That's really the challenge now.
Yes, human creativity is the differentiator. And Kunal, in fact, during his conversation with Delshad, spoke about how evoking an emotion is really, really hard. And Ruchira, over to you. For a category like yours, marketing in premium lifestyle category like alcohol, it relies on emotions and human experiences. So tell us, can AI truly capture the human emotion while reaching out to your consumer?
Phase 1 of AI was all about efficiency. Daniel, you spoke about it. It was all about efficient targeting, reducing cost, efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. Phase 2 has actually been data and acquisition. Someone said data is the new oil, and everyone chased after data to say, how do we get data in? And now how do we now create experiences? To your point, we can tell you what could be your preferred flavor amongst all the, I don't know, how many hundreds of scotches across our distilleries, right? Now, and by the way, it predicted mine spot on. Spot on. A liquid I'd never tasted, I liked it, and ever since then, I love it, right? We could tell you about, let's say, what cocktails you want to serve at an intimate dinner serving, etc. Great, super. Where it works with, in industries like ours is, forget the income level, affluent or not. I think what it does is it sorts through various data and gives you the options in a world that's increasingly cluttered, lots of propositions. Kunal spoke about so much data, so much content being thrown at you, right? So what it does is it sorts through all that white noise and gives you something that belongs to you. So personalization is where AI has today arrived in terms of customized solutions. Does that substitute for emotional, let's say the setting, going to Isla, tasting that thing in that moment and saying, I'll always go back to that moment? I don't know. Could it get there? And I guess that's the question this panel is going to talk about, because my belief is when you make that creative breakthrough, that's when magic will truly happen. Yes. So human creativity to the power of AI, and not vice versa.
Sanjay, how can you create, or AI help demonstrate measurable business impact and growth?
See, I think one of the power of AI is on a couple of different fronts, right? The one is it creates optionalities, I think, which is what I think Daniel was talking about. And I think it's, if you look at, I think Kunal had a great, I love the term, boring transactions, interesting transactions. We inordinately as companies spend a lot more time creating the the data to then make the interesting transactions, if you kind of take the same parlance and incorporate this thing. What AI is doing is, with the compute power, it's creating optionalities at an incredibly rich pace for you. So now, from that optionality, you're spending a lot more time saying, okay, what makes sense to do? And I can make those choices, understand the feedback on those choices, to your point on the measurable business results. So you can configure your systems, you can configure the business to understand the intelligence of the choices you're making and make different choices and kind of figure out what value parameters you want to start to measure and improve on. But one of the traps that I feel a lot of people fall into is to equate AI to efficiency. Right? And I think it's a bit like, there's a great quote which says, transformation is about the caterpillar becoming the butterfly, not a faster caterpillar. And I think if you use AI for only automation, you're just going to have a lot more faster caterpillars. Whereas the whole power is you are now able to link data in a manner that wasn't able to get done before because of the power of the compute, and get insights that you didn't know before. Therefore, you can reimagine how you think about a process itself, an engagement pattern itself, link very, very, earlier uncorrelated data aspects to create something very new, instead of saying, I know how this works, let me just templatize the steps and make this happen even faster. I'm not saying that's bad, but that's like, that's like sitting on a gold mine and digging in the spoon. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Can I add a point to that? I think, honestly, for me, the session itself, creativity versus AI, I think we give too much importance to marketing and AI in marketing. I think I want to take a step back. For me, the biggest use case of AI is not in marketing; it's in customer experience. And it's all about, it has to be thought through as a business versus saying how can AI help
or
better.
not just one function, one function
Yeah,
of the business, which is marketing.
Because finally, customer experience happens at various levels. It starts from saying that, as Ruchira said, what is the right flavor for him? And it's got nothing to do with marketing. It's about, if I understand what is the right flavor for him, how do I build the right product and the right proposition for him? Now, if I understand why he likes that flavor, if I have a deep-rooted insight there, then I can make a more targeted communication, and where marketing can kind of help that. And once I've found a better communication, then my agency using AI can automate that process of making the film faster, cheaper, and I can kind of do that. Once I'm running those films, and then I know which one's working, which one's not working, based on how AI is getting that data, I can make my media more efficient. Yeah. I think it's the whole life cycle of the business that AI can help you deliver better value for the customer, better customer experience, and deliver more profitability for you as a company. And I think that's the way I've always looked at AI in its entirety in the business. And therefore, when I always have these conversations of AI in marketing, I sometimes struggle with that conversation because I end up getting into, but it's not just about making it cheaper and faster. It's about the whole customer experience end-to-end that AI can influence.
I want to add to that. That's why when we talk about experiences, similarly, we talk about it as an omni-channel journey, which has got only one touch point of that is one content piece. It's literally every single thing, even awareness, advocacy, evangelism, trials, liquid on lips, everything. Now the question is, do you have an underpinning mechanism that helps you to understand the points at which you can make the most impact by knowing what consumers want?
In a discussion led by Shubhranshu Singh, CMO, CVBU, Tata Motors, Piyush Pandey, Chief Advisor Ogilvy India, and Devika Bulchandani, Global CEO Ogilvy, talked about the evolving landscape of advertising, creativity, and the role of purpose in branding.
Is the need to inspire purpose or to be associated with purpose an inherent quality of brands, or is it something that you cultivate once you realize that you could do more when you advance a purpose, associate with a purpose, own a purpose?
I think this is sort of the existential debate that we have in marketing. And it's a very simple way to look at it from my perspective, which is purpose has to come from the business. Because the minute we start thinking about purpose coming from the brand, we can make a purpose up. But if purpose isn't quintessential to the product that you sell, the core of the business model, then it becomes a marketing in a sort of purpose washing. So for Dove, purity of the soap the purity of the soap was why we could get to beauty without artifice, pure beauty, real beauty that became. So I just think you have to go back to the core business. If we start just thinking about purpose through the lens of brand strategy, then we can very, very often fall into a trap. And does every product need a purpose? Not necessarily. You can provide joy. Joy could be, doesn't have to be something much deeper.
I have a question for the both of you. It's to do with this surge in short form videos and the fact that a lot of what people consume comes filtered, algorithmically manipulated to an extent in a good way. And that feed is always on. And it's almost as if your finger has a mind of its own, deciding what to pause on, what to double tap, and so on. Now, is that inherently cramping creative joy for higher order things like purpose? Can you do a great job with short form advertising on social platforms, and that's pretty much the bulk of what people consume in their daily lives? Or is there a real value to long form, old world content for which a lot of people have nostalgia but very little time?
You know, again, it depends. Can you do great things with short form? I believe you can, right? And I say, when you're doing great things with short form, I call it better, faster laughter. So how can you take 6 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds to put that smile on my face, to make me laugh, to do something? But there's value to stupidness and silliness in the world as well. It's not all deep. If we want to do something like Dove, where we're really trying to change a fundamental, deeply entrenched behavioral pattern or a societal pattern, that takes longer form. So I think there's place for both. Where it's dangerous is not recognizing what is the right form or what is the right length, if you say, for the right message, because that becomes important. I think we mix that up a lot to say we're going to do a much deeper message in short form, and then we're going to take 3 minutes to do something that should be done in 15 seconds.
I think it's a question of how well you do it. Yeah. If all of us have seen small cartoon strips of R.K. Lakshman, just 5x1 or whatever the size is, in that he could be very sarcastic, he could be very funny, he could be a great observer. If you're that good, you can do a short form. If you need something, as Devika said, to convey something where you want me to feel, it's not about lens, it's about how well you impact. People talk about opportunities to see. It's not opportunities to see, it's opportunities to impact. What did you do in that little 1 second, or in 60 seconds, or 1 minute? That's the way it goes all the time. And I think if you're not able to do that, people talk about, somebody spoke about small attention spans of the new generation. If you do something good, they will stay with you. If you're doing stupid, they will have smaller attention spans. They're not stupid, they're saying, okay, today I'll only see for 3 seconds. No, get them involved, get them engaged, they will watch you.
Today, we are diving into the fascinating world of game marketing and the ever-growing phenomena of mobile gaming in India with two industry leaders. Joining us first, we have Srinjoy, the Associate Director of Marketing at Krafton India. We are thrilled to also have Rahul Mathew, the Chief Creative Officer at DDB Mudra Group, who's been closely involved in some of the most innovative campaigns around BGMI, including the spectacular in-game wedding event called BGMI Krafton, the Great Indian Wedding. Welcome to CNBC TV 18.
Yeah, thanks for having us here.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is all mine.
Srinjoy, let's begin this conversation with you. Give us an understanding and insight on, some of the key trends that are shaping the gaming market, and how is marketing a game different in India as compared to any other market?
See, as a generation, we started gaming directly on mobile phones for us as Indians, right? So one of the key things which came out is that the size and the scale of the Indian gaming market is simply huge, because the number of mobile devices is hitting closer to 1 billion right now in India, right? So with smartphone access, with internet access, the scale is enormous. And along came BGMI at exactly the right time, at possibly the rightest possible place that you can think of, with the demographic dividend that our country enjoys, right? So what it means is the way you do marketing is very, very different than traditional ways that you would do marketing. There's a heavy amount of influencers involved. There's a heavy amount of what we call streaming, which is involved. Like just around 2020 when COVID hit, like we had a lot of streamers come on board. And the other thing is we have to be extremely engagement oriented. What it means is it's no longer a content and an ad that you put out and expect people to watch it and react. It's very, very engagement oriented. The reason is very simple, because when you're playing a video game, all of your emotions and all of your attention is on a game that you're playing, right? So as gamers, you're tuned to expect from the brand that there's going to be some reverse engagement. For example, no longer am I satisfied at just looking at an ad. Is there something to do inside the game? Does it affect my life in some way? I'm talking about relationships, which we'll probably explore a little bit later on. Does it allow me to do something more than just rewards, more than just downloading a game and playing a game, right? So those are some beautiful ways I think video game marketing is different, and those are some beautiful trends which I see overflowing into some sister industries as well as we go down the road.
Yeah, so fascinating. And you know, when you look at, when you say gaming, you imagine like the profile of the consumer, like, you know, without knowing much, you paint like a picture of, okay, this is how a gamer would be like. But, you know, having worked with BGMI for such a long time, Rahul, what were some of your insights that, you know, had you staggered, like, you know, in terms of, like, you know, what is like an average gamer, and, you know, like, what are some of the things or characteristics of this consumer?
Yeah, I mean, it's you're right. We think of these, I think movies have conditioned us to see these nerds sitting in one corner in a dark basement. हमारे यहाँ basement होता नहीं है. So, but end of the day, it is, I mean, it's more than a game. It has evolved, BGMI specifically, has evolved into a platform. These are people who have a time in which they come. It's their adda. You're not just playing a game, you're coming and hanging out with people who you game with every day.
Yeah.
And once you start understanding and you start then unpeeling and some of these things, you realize that there are emotional layers in the game. Another statistic which we found when we were talking to the team is, so the lobby where the game starts, the people spend 3x the time there than what they play inside. That's where a lot of conversations happen. That's where a lot of connections happen. And one of the places where we got our insight about this is from that, you know, that there is more to it than just people coming together to finish a game. There are people coming together to connect. And probably in the time after COVID, in gaming altogether, a lot of social interaction has got coded even more into it. Right? So I think that's the behavior you're seeing, and that's the behavior we played on when we were trying to do this work.
Yeah, and I have heard about friendships forming, you know, in a game, but, you know, how did you think about the idea of marriages inside a game?
Well, again, it's an incredible community that BGMI is. The community shares so much. So one of the stories that came out from the listening is about a couple who, and we've had stories of love peaking, and that's how we found this couple who met on the game. Yeah, that's when the idea started taking shape that, okay, if this has been literally their wingman, or this has been the backdrop to their love and to their relationship, it should be the background to their marriage.
Yeah.
Right? So,
and to the campaign as well.
Correct.
But what did you think of the idea when, you know, the team at DDB Mudra came up with this, and also at the same time share some of the insights and other stories such as this that, you know, you found fascinating on the platform?
We also have in-game features, by the way. So you can choose a lot of friends inside the game, but there's only one person you can choose who you can send a love heart of sorts, right? So there are some unique mechanics built inside the game as well. So the more you play against each other, play with each other, your synergy builds up and all of those things, right? So we built on all of these things, and then when we were looking at data, we realized that there's something which needs to be done about this. A lot of people are building more than just friendships over here, right? And along came the story that Rahul and the DDB team found out, which is that a couple hadn't gotten married. It's not the first time it's happened, but this is a story that when we spoke to the couple, we felt that they really felt that this platform made a huge difference to their lives. Imagine finding your life partner and what they owe it to. So we thought, hey, can we celebrate that? And that's where the entire idea came about, that we should pay a tribute to possibly one of the most beautiful and sacred relationships out there. And that's where it sort of evolved, and Rahul and we both of us took it to a really next level of sorts.
Rahul, give us an understanding on how organizing an in-game wedding different from, you know, organizing a physical wedding. What did it take?
Oh, it took us some time to get around to it. Because there's a lot of things we also wanted to do, which, this symbolizes something more, and we want to make sure we capture all the symbolisms of it.
That, yeah.
So, like stuff like you've taken elements, so the invite, which has gone to a lot of people as well, has elements from the game crafted into it.
Yeah.
So when you see it, it looks like a loot box, which is there in the game, which is your invite. But aap agar usko jab paas mein dekho, you'll start seeing more elements crafted into it. So the whole thing about working with, and again, we didn't work alone. There's one thing we learned when you're working on gaming, you have to work with the community. So we do have people from the community helping us kind of design the landscape inside the game. Taki aap wo map, in the map in which people play, we're creating the whole wedding place, mandap, everything you've been created. You have a place for the Sangeet, you have a mehndi happening inside. We've taken elements from the game, and that's going to be the actual mehndi the bride's going to wear. The lehenga has got elements from the game crafted into it, which has been curated by Ritu Berry. So we put everything behind it. It's exactly how the wedding would happen in real life, and is happening in real life, but is also happening with the same grandeur and pomp in the game. So it took us some time to really get our head around it. But I mean, it's amazing. Like I keep saying this, the community is so amazing. They know so much about the game. And the more we tell them, they make it richer for us.
Wonderful.
By helping us, you know, why didn't you do this instead of doing this? You know, like, oh yeah, that's fantastic, let's do that.
Taking a cue from this, you know, wedding planning can be an alternate profession for you guys.
I don't think anyone from the team is going for a wedding for the next 3 months, 4 months. Koi nahi jayega. Like,
perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing these insights, and thanks for joining us
thank
today.
you. Thank you so much.